And I can't even blame the original creator of misleading me because they did it correctly. I'm so ashamed of this improper action. Hello fellow individuals, it is I, burning your art again, both physically and emotionally. Well, this is obviously inspired by, all those art roasters on YouTube. So if you don't know, don't worry, my victims are volunteers. They sacrificed their own art for this post that I made. Not on YouTube though. I'll choose the two artworks that I have the most things to say about, and I'll critique them and modify them to go with my critiques. And I'll also make a rapid roast section. But we ain't gonna do that today, the video is too long. Without further ado, let's jump right into all this chaos. Okay, we've acquired our first victim. The eyes look rather decent, but they're too far apart and too small. They're supposed to be one eye apart of each other, but in this case, they're two eyes apart of each other. I wonder what she sees. And he also made the lips tilted, which is the right thing to do because the hand pushes this side of the face upwards. It's also over airbrushed. Never use airbrush for your main shadings. They shouldn't be all foggy. The eyebrows, oh god, they are leaping, bro. They are in action. And the hand is deformed, but at least you drew one, unlike most people. I'll talk about more things that could be better later. So I just used a good old liquify tool and fixed some basic anatomy problems. It's always better to draw the structure of the things, the head in this case, before drawing the hair. That way the head wouldn't end up looking like it has been sanded or something. I did some basic rendering, mostly concentrating on the nose, cause the nostrils were huge! Understandable though, we tend to think that nostrils are the only thing about noses, and instead of being oval shaped, they're shaped more like water drops. If you want to draw noses nice, you have to know what shapes is it made out of. So there's this round bump, and two things that are almost like wings beside it, and of course the bridge of the nose. Here I added more shading a bit everywhere on the face. Keep in mind where the light is from while doing this. It's important because shading is not just random pen strokes. I also made the irises more lively, I suppose, by adding a saturated color inside them. Concerning the hand, break it down into small shapes like this, and use those same shapes for any pose you draw. That will make things easier. And you know what's funny? I drew the wrong side of the hand! And I can't even blame the original creator of misleading me because they did it correctly. I'm so ashamed of this improper action. Fixed it and I rendered the lips. The upper lip is usually darker and thinner than the lower lip, and mouths have corners like so. And don't forget the shadow between the lower lip and the chin. I also added this little highlight right here because, how do I say? The inferior part of the upper eyelid has like this little bump kind of thing, so the light shines on it more than the rest of the skin. I added more contrast a bit everywhere, especially in the eyes, cause that is the very focal point and we have to make it clear. I also shaded the hair and clothes, and by that I mean blocking out big triangles. For the hair I added individual strands because that makes the hair more lively. And that's it. So this is this piece before me putting hands on it, and this is the after. The before and after. For you and everyone who wanna draw portraits, the best advice I could give you is to study what shapes is the face composed of, and practice with a lot of different references. And also avoid airbrush. Not using it at all is better than using it everywhere. Okay, moving on to our next target. The anatomy is mostly correct, and I like how the shading is purple and the lighting is yellow, which is great because contrasting colors. But it seems like you just applied a multiply layer and then erased some parts as lighting, so the lighting of the shirt is blue, which is weird because it looks like there's a different light source of a different color, and yet it only hits the shirt, not anywhere else. But this blue light from the other direction is good though, even more contrast and stuff. And also their right eye is somehow in this weird, overly sharp shape, and their hairline's going crazy! I extended the cranium and modified the eye. An average eye is shaped more like this rather than this. I gave the nose a point cause at this angle, unlike the front view, we're supposed to see it a bit. I grouped some parts of the hair together. In the original one, the hair was a big shape filled with tons of individual strands. It doesn't look right because you'd either simplify something or not simplify something. You cannot do both. So I finished grouping parts of the hair and detailing them a little. Notice the colors with different brightness, different levels of saturation, and different hue. In most environments, when you shade something, you have to change all the three values. In this case, there are three main sections of colors. There's the light blue one influenced by the backlight, There's the middle purple section that is barely hit by any light, and we have the yellowish section hit by the stronger light source. Here I put a color that is close to the one of the skin tone just to balance things out a bit. I made the shape of the lighting vary more because the face is not just perfectly round or flat, so the shape should follow the up and downs of it. Concerning this little triangle on the left side of the face, is because the forehead's bone blocked the light out of this area, the nose blocked out the light of this area, and this area isn't even facing the light source. So there's only this triangle left. I made the color of the eyeballs lighter because before that you can barely see them. Never forget the shading, it adds depth into the piece. I finalized a bit everything and rendered the clothing with this color that is slightly yellower than the original color because of the light source. By the way, you can cut out shapes like so by painting over them with the color next to them. And we're done! Here's the before and after. The before and after. So to Wookie Wolf, I know I said a lot about colors, but your original colors are already pretty good. Just keep in mind that the face is not completely round, and that the cranium should be wider than the face. Even though I see that you don't draw humans a lot. Also, speaking of critiquing art all this time, this friend of mine critiqued mine, so check it out. This was probably my most failed piece during the recent time period. I mean, come on, it's pretty cool what he did, right? Like the way my guy renders stuff and everything. The final result, full screen to see better. And that's all for today. Stay tuned for the rapid roasty part. Bye!